Welcome to this week's edition of CultureScope. I'm your co-host, Matt Ford.
And I'm Kerriann Otanyo. We are so excited to welcome you back to CultureScope, the show here in Delaware where every artist has a story.
I love it.
Matt, this
We're
is
on
the
like
first time I've
episode
seen
like
you.
5 or 6, and I haven't seen you for a while. You're on vacation, and she went without me. You did. You went without me.
Listen, I had to go on vacation with my husband. You might be my CultureScope husband. And I love that for us.
That more important
I
than
love this
marriage?
future that we're building
Right,
together.
exactly.
But I went to Sarasota, Florida, which is where my husband and I met singing opera 11 years ago. We were singing at Sarasota Opera. We were resident artists there for 3 months. And so we went back to see a bunch of operas and go to the beach. And that's why I'm like all sun-kissed
You
and
are
feeling
all sun-kissed.
refreshed.
I noticed it as soon as you walked in the studio. I was like, man, I could not be any paler, and you were sun-kissed.
We're giving like a yin-yang.
Right, exactly.
And I love that for us.
Right, exactly.
What have you been up to this week?
So this week, nothing. I was, I'm not bitter at all, but was supposed to see Adele over the weekend.
I've
Not
heard you
bitter at all.
I've heard you talk about
And
this so many
she
times, but give it to the
canceled.
people.
Yeah, I feel like it was really personal.
Give it
This
to
was
the
the second
people.
time she canceled on me. She was the second time she canceled on me. Birthday weekend. And like 2 weeks ago, she did a whole Instagram post where she canceled the shows, and I felt really slighted.
Did she
personally.
tag you directly?
She did. She tagged me directly.
Did
She's
you
like,
say
this is
Matt
the reason I'm
Ford?
canceling. That guy from Delaware, I know he's coming, and
I
this
know
is
he's
why I'm
excited.
canceling. Right. So now they're just holding our tickets hostage, and we don't know if she'll reschedule.
Oh,
I know.
what a travesty.
So I feel like she owes us now an interview, because I'm sure she watches. So I feel like she owes us an interview.
Ma'am?
We're talking to you, Adele.
Hi.
You're right. Exactly.
Please come on the show.
Right.
Please come to Delaware.
Exactly. Well, listen, speaking of singers, we have an amazing show today, and I can't wait to get to it.
You know, it's my
big.
favorite when it's vocalists.
Yes.
I mean, I'm here for all the arts in Delaware because we got a thriving art scene. But when it's a vocalist, that takes me to a special level. I'm
It does.
really stoked
Right.
about this.
Yes, exactly. Well, let's get into it. We have an exciting show today. After 51 contestants, the final singer, after 3 weeks of blind auditions on NBC's The Voice, was none other than Delaware native and Padua Academy grad, Olivia Rubini.
Ooh! Okay, in front of millions glued to their TV screens. I was one of them. The 24-year-old singer wowed the judges with her version of Linda Ronstadt's 1970s song, Long, Long Ago. Let's take a look at the clip.
My name is Olivia Rubini. I'm 24 years old, and I'm from Wilmington, Delaware.
All right.
'Cause I've got everything I know. Try and make it mine.
Yeah.
And I think I can love you for a long time.
Yeah. And I'm just happy to complete my team with you, Olivia. Welcome to Team Legend.
Thank you so much.
Yeah! I've got a jacket for you. Team Legend is full. Olivia is a special talent, a unique voice on this season. I think she's gonna do so well.
How about that? Amazing.
Oh my God, so
Amazing.
exciting. The final one?
Right.
Oh my God,
Incredible.
the chills.
I can't wait to ask her if she knows that she was the final one. I feel like she did not.
Oh my God, I'm so curious.
Crazy.
Okay.
Anyway, welcome, Olivia.
Olivia!
We're so excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having
We've been
me.
waiting for this. We were so excited. We have
God,
been
I'm
on
so
pins and
excited.
needles to
So
talk to
thrilled.
you.
I'm so stoked to be here. I'm so stoked to talk about it.
Thank
I'm so
you.
excited.
Awesome.
What an insanely cool experience. What a brave,
craziest.
bold chance to take on yourself to audition for something like that.
Yeah, it was very insane, all very surreal still.
Yes.
So listen, we have a full half hour with you, and we're so excited. But before we get into The Voice, which so many people know you for, you're no stranger to music. You had a musical upbringing. Your dad, Richie Rubini, is a veteran Delaware musician and producer, a drummer for the alternative band called the Caulfields, which found national success and rotation on MTV in the mid-90s. So before we get into The Voice, I want to know, what was it like growing up with a musical household?
Great question.
Yeah.
Dude, it's the best. I mean, I grew up seeing people be really creative and hearing people like in the living room writing songs collaboratively and going to the studio with my dad after he would pick me up from school and just like watching the creative process all the time, and of course listening to so much music from all over the place, like every genre, every time period. And it was just very like lovely and supportive and letting creativity sort of flourish, and that's just like the best environment to be in. So it was really no shock when I was like wanna let me have my shot, man? Come on. So he really shouldn't have been surprised by that, but.
And what was his reaction? We'll ask him to say, but what's your take on his reaction when you said this?
He was definitely very hesitant. It was never any like Dadinger thing.
Yeah.
It was like,
Okay.
my kid can sing. I'm gonna make them a star.
No
There
Chris
was
Kardashian stuff happening. No.
definitely not.
No,
It was
okay.
literally the polar opposite, and
Yeah.
I think it's because, you know, he is so knowledgeable and has been in the music industry himself, and he knows how much of a tumultuous career that can be for someone,
Sure.
like emotionally and, you know, financially. It's
Absolutely.
difficult.
Yeah.
So I just think he wanted to protect me from
course.
all of it.
I love that.
But I did not let that happen, and I just really kept
love
it
it.
going, and I said, "You're gonna let me do it."
Yes.
And then I started having some covers on SoundCloud, and I was like 13 or 14, I want to say. And then sort of just the way things started happening of no really grand design, I ended up having my first single at like 15 or 16. I can't.
Wow.
It's a little hazy. But then it just sort of started happening where more music was just coming along and the opportunity was just there, and I was really enjoying it. Hopefully he was also really enjoying it. But like I thought it was super fun, and I was like I could really see myself doing this. I felt like I was very slowly starting to like figure out my vibe and my thing, and so he got on board eventually.
This is exactly, I took so much from what you just said, specifically talking about being surrounded by the creative process when you were a kid. Because I think when people look at an artist like you, they see the final product.
Yeah.
They see that she's the singer-songwriter, they see the bravery, but it all has to come from making mistakes, being creative, having that freedom to be vulnerable and to make bad sounds and to learn what works for you and discover your style and your voice.
I mean, it's definitely taken a lot of evolution.
Yeah.
13, 14, 15, 16,
Yes.
17-year-old me is definitely nowhere near
Right.
the me now. And it's taken a lot of time for me to sort of discover who I wanted to be, not only like, you know, like visually as like a brand, but like sonically, and
Yes.
where I take from certain influences more than others, and like making music that I would also enjoy listening to, that like I would want to add on my playlist. And it's like,
Right.
so I feel like now all my new music is stuff that I really feel that way about, and it just feels like the most genuine that it could possibly be for this time of my life. Who knows what like the next thing will be, but at least for right now it just feels really good. And it
That
feels
pride
like,
that you have changes the way that you advocate for it, because you are proud. And it's so interesting, like, not to dismiss the version of you at 13, 14, 15, but those were all like kind of building blocks to get you. Years from now, you're going to be like, that version of me when I was 24, we've evolved beyond that.
totally.
I love that you started in covers, because I think we learn so much about ourselves and our voices by emulating the people that we love. I would love for you to tell us a little bit about the process artistically between doing covers or tributes to artists that you love and inspire you versus writing a song from the ground up and having a song be wholly your stamp on it. What's the difference between those two?
I mean, I feel like it was a little bit more difficult back then for me to make covers with my own spin on it, because like I don't know how much of my own spin I really had yet. I was just like, I'm singing it, so I guess that's my own spin. And then I'm letting my dad like help, you know, with the production aspect, of course. So it's like, that's making it my own. But it wasn't like my twist on things. I wasn't really like changing things super melodically, because I just didn't have like the sauce yet. And that was like fine.
I didn't have the sauce
yet.
Yes.
My girl said yet.
Keyword yet. I figured it out.
Can I be honest with you? TM. Put that on a shirt. That should be your brand. Listen, I didn't have the
love
sauce
that.
yet. I love it.
With like italics yet.
Yes.
I love that.
That's very powerful.
I mean, I think I got it now. Like,
Yeah, you do.
I would say so.
That's right.
but I think so. Like now when I do covers, it's like way easier for me to put my spin on it, sing it like as if it was my own.
Yeah.
Whether I'm singing to like a pre-made track just for like Instagram and TikTok or whatever, or whether I'm playing or like doing a cover track like properly to, you know, release. I definitely feel more comfortable making something totally my own.
That is
if it's
authentically
not
your
my own.
sound, your style.
Exactly. But then when it comes to writing my own music, that's like a whole nother
Right?
a whole nother process.
How does it start with you? Does it start from the melody? Does it start from the text? How do you start creating?
I think most of the time it starts from the melody,
Okay.
and then I sort of sprinkle in the words to fit the melody.
I love that.
That's just how it works with my brain. I've never been able to just like have a bunch of words and like fit a melody to that. That was just never how it worked with the synapses. But I mean, it's worked pretty good, I think.
It's so
I
cool.
would say so. I would say so.
That style of like how you write is just, I think it's so
thank
interesting
you.
to learn about artists and like how they create.
Yeah, it's definitely like changed a lot for me, I feel like. But also every song is a different process, I feel
Yeah.
like. So it's like sometimes you have a track ready that has no melodies or words or anything, and it's like, I'm just gonna write to this thing. But then sometimes it's like me with a guitar in my bedroom
Yes.
figuring it out. And
Wherever inspiration
Yeah.
can strike you.
And then like sometimes it comes together in 15 minutes, and then sometimes it does not take 15 minutes. And that's fine. And it's all beautiful and lovely and fun. So
It is. It is.
as long as you're
That's a
making
beautiful way
music,
to
you
look at
can't really complain about it.
Right,
So
right.
That's really beautiful.
thanks.
So speaking of journeys, you're on one right now as we speak.
I am.
Right. So for those that don't know, you are currently on your journey on the Voice in the beginning phases, I would say, right, as
Yeah.
we're seeing so far. And I hear you had sort of a non-traditional way of getting there. Can you explain that to us? How to do a little about
Yeah.
sliding into DMs?
A little bit of sliding into the DMs, as so many stories begin.
All the best ones, right?
So it was a while ago
Yeah.
that I received an Instagram DM, and I don't, you know, overly check my DMs. It's kind of a crazy place to be. But, you know, I checked and I saw this little DM come in and said, I'm a casting agent for The Voice, you know, contact me, love to have you, like, da-da-da, whatever. And I was like,
This is spam.
that's a scam.
Right.
You know, they're going to ask me for a check.
They're
It's
definitely
gonna
trying to get
be
your
weird.
social security
Like,
number.
It's
Like-
going to be a whole scam because, like, yeah, right.
Right.
And also, like, I hadn't really had, you know, I've never gone viral or had any crazy numbers. So I was like, I'm sure a casting person found me, you know, whatever. And then, you know, I let it kind of rock on red. And then I was like, maybe I should circle back.
She left the Voice on red. She left them on red.
She left the Voice on red.
Just for a little bit. But, and then I was like, maybe I should circle back just in case. And then, you know, I looked up the girl's name on like LinkedIn and I saw that it was a legitimate casting agency. And I was like, maybe I should respond. And then I did. And then, you know, you sort of do the process of sending in some audition tapes, doing a couple songs. And then you do, you know, a couple preliminary interviews, which is like, you know, the little vibe check.
Yes, very
And,
bad.
you know, it's a lot of little steps to get to the point of getting out there for real and having it really be go time.
So there's a lot from the clip that we just showed the audience of the audition in front of the judges. Before that, there's a lot of steps to get there that people don't see, right?
For sure.
Okay.
It's a lot of work that goes into one audition. So it's like really a culmination of a lot of time, and everyone's putting in a lot of work for sure. And it's
Do you know
definitely a
how
lot.
they found you? Did they say?
She either found me on TikTok or Instagram. I
Okay.
can't really remember. I think it was TikTok.
Okay.
And she dug the vibe, and she was like, "Let's
She
go."
dug it and just hit me up, and
Right.
yeah, I've definitely texted her back being like, thank you.
Thank you so.
I would not be here
Sorry it
without
took
you,
me
girl.
so long to respond.
Sorry I left you on red. I'm so sorry.
It's an iconic move. Honestly, it's like a superstar move.
It is. It really is.
I wasn't trying to do
It is.
that.
Take the moment,
was-
girl. You like.
When you're selling out arenas, you can tell that story.
Yeah.
That's a good story.
And I'll be like, guys, moral of the story, check your DMs.
yeah, check your
Check
DM.
'em. And then do your research.
Do your
Right, right.
research.
Check them out on LinkedIn. Make sure it's
Yes.
Well, one of the things that I loved as I was like reading more about you and your inspiration was this description that I read, that you're recognized for your catchy, clever pop lyrics.
Ooh.
And this is the part that I'm so obsessed with a classic rock mysticism. Ooh, that's tasty. That is a very specific niche, right? And I feel like the inspiration, I can feel the inspiration coming from Linda Ronstadt. I can feel the inspiration coming from Stevie Nicks. And I so love that time period, like the 70s and like singer-songwriters. What is it about the art and the artists from the 1970s that you connect with as someone who was not even a thought in your parents' head in the 1970s?
I was not even.
Right?
That was nothing. I just think I was like raised on a lot of that music. And, you know, I listen to a lot of different stuff. I'm really all over the map. I listen to, you know, pop, like current pop, and also like old school classic rock stuff. I listen to like Highwaymen, outlaw country. Like I'm all over the place. But I think I always really connected with that like classic rock sound, and especially the women of that time who were like just paving the way for women like me now, who are just like being like fearless and doing whatever they want and singing about whatever they want and just being like cool and wearing cool stuff and just having like all the attitude in the world. And I don't know, I just think I've always just like looked up to that and just thought it was so cool. And then of course sonically it's just like the most genuine, raw sounding stuff, which I was always really drawn to. And then lyrically, I always loved that it's all very like, they're saying what they want to say in black and white, but there's still that like pretty flourishing, like just like it's pretty. There's always like cool words involved, and I was just always really drawn to that side of things, and I try to sprinkle that into my lyricism.
So that's kind of, that's the catchy, clever, like the way that you play with lyrics comes from that inspiration.
Yeah, I think so.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's just like the usage of like the pretty little like flourishing on top. It's just like, I don't know, a little witchy maybe.
A little mysticism.
Just a little that.
Put a little of my witchy twist on this one.
Just a little bit of this, you know.
So you seem to have an incredible support system.
I do.
For those of us that know you and know your dad, but for those of us that maybe don't know you, we saw your support system on the clip that we showed.
You did.
They were there, right? Sweet. There's some teary eyes, made us tears.
Just a little bit.
So aside from obviously that support and the support you have from your home state, including the two of us here, I have noticed that, you know, looking at your social media, there's a lot of camaraderie between you and the contestants, even those who aren't on Team Legend. Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. I definitely went into this situation really having low expectations for the camaraderie vibes. Because I mean, when it was sort of the preliminary time before getting out there, we would have like Zoom calls and stuff, and sort of telling us what to expect and all this stuff. And they say stuff like, it's the Voice family, you're all gonna like love each other and be so supportive. And you kind of like feel everyone being like,
right, they have to say
I'm
that.
sure that everyone, it's a love fest for sure.
Sure.
But then like we showed up and it was like everyone was so lovely, and like I couldn't have asked to be in a better group of people. It wasn't judgmental or like competitive really. Everyone was just more so in competition with themselves and wanted to you know, bring the best version of themselves to the stage, instead of being like, oh, you're my competition, I'm gonna take you out, or like, you know, it wasn't that
competition. Listen, catchy, clever pop lyrics, classic rock mysticism, nobody else is in your lane, babe. There's nobody in your lane, so we might as well all support each other on our individual journeys. You know? I love that. It makes me really happy, because I think that, you know, this diva mentality, like artists in general get a bad reputation for being very like ego driven. And I think so much of the arts is how you were raised, that it's collaborative, it's creative, we make mistakes, we grow.
Absolutely.
Right. And so,
I mean, that's really what it felt like. There was a lot of people doing like writers rounds and people making really genuine connections. I mean, a lot of people have gone on to, you know, work with each other and are currently writing music together, or, you know, whatnot. So it's like, it's a very supportive community. You know, I have music coming out, some other people have music coming out, and we're all so supportive of each other. So it's like off and on the show, on socials, and, you know, in private. It's just super supportive, and it's just really, it's really lovely.
I've heard so much about the Voice family.
It's the family. It's not a lie. It's not a lie. I promise.
Because you do these Instagram lives with other contestants on the show. I saw one you did recently with, I believe it was a young woman who was on Dan and Shay's team.
Yeah, Anya.
Yeah, and you guys just seemed so supportive of each other,
Yeah,
and there
she's
was
the bomb.
no competitiveness there. It was like family. She's like, I know you're going to win this whole thing, and I tipped in. Yeah, you're exactly right. She is going to win the whole thing. Yeah, right.
I can't
right.
say anything.
No, right. No, but just the support there, and the support for each other's music,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it was there, and like, you did not hear competitiveness at all, and it was really refreshing to see.
I mean,
They support each other.
it was even really crazy. I feel like no one, like, post blinds, we weren't, talking about how it went for anyone. We were just like, okay, like, we're all here now, and like, it doesn't matter if you got 4 chair turns or you got one at the very last second, or it's like, we're all on an even playing field right now. It's so, why put anyone down for anyone's experience? So it was a surprise watching it on TV.
Yes.
I was like, oh, that's what happened. So fun. That's great.
And then I hear that, like, the big, like, when they hit the button and we hear this, and you don't hear that. Like, you don't hear that whole, like, it's all,
I mean, I don't know if that's like an industry secret, but
She said, oh.
I was like, because we all hear the lights go down and the big thing, and we're like, oh my God, it's happening.
I mean, all I know is that I was sort of facing towards the audience. And then I just heard them all like going crazy. And I was like, what are we talking about? And then I turned around and, oh, it's John Legend.
It's just casually John Legend.
It's fine. He's
Just
just
casual.
smiling at me. Just
Beaming at you.
So beautifully. Like,
And then
he
your
does.
completely authentic reaction, like, because I can only imagine the hours that you spent practicing this song and perfecting how you wanted to tell the story. And then the live, that's what makes live music so special, is because in that moment you were startled, you were taken by surprise.
Absolutely.
And you had such a genuine, joyful reaction. And I think it just made everyone fall even more in love and become more invested in you as an artist.
Thank you.
Really beautiful.
I mean, because I knew that it was close to the end of things.
You didn't know it was the end of the
Yeah, I mean,
actual
I knew
one
it was.
spot left.
I knew it was not looking great from statistically. It was really coming down to it, and everyone sort of knew backstage that it was also coming down to things. And you're backstage, and I was hearing people get these chair turns, so you're sort of doing mental math, going, oh God,
Right.
I'm getting a little scared now. So I was sort of backstage coming to grips with the fact that it wasn't going to happen. I was like, it's fine. Don't cry. Like, just don't be a mess backstage. Like, get it together, girl. I'll cry later. Yes. But I was totally coming to grips with that mentality. And then they just snatched me up and they're like, it's time to go. We're going. So in like a matter of like 5 to 7 minutes, I went from being like, acceptance, it's fine, to being on stage and having it happen. And you're only singing for like a minute and a half.
Yes.
So it's going super fast. So it was just like so much relief in that moment, I feel. And I, for the rest of the song after that, I was just trying to swallow the tears. I was like, I just have to get through it. I can't cry. Like,
And you did great.
oh, thanks.
So we saw your mom and dad there as well when the chair turned, and we the first thing, the closed caption on the thing, your mom or your dad said, she did it.
Oh yeah,
And we were
I think that was my mom who said that.
So we're going to talk to your dad, and he's going to join us for the rest of the interview. We're going to take a quick break, and then we will be right back with Olivia and her dad right here on CultureScope. Stay right with us. Welcome back to this week's edition of CultureScope. We are here with our Delaware's own Olivia Rubini, who you may have seen from The Voice. And we come back now, we are joined by her musician father, local legend, Richie Rubini. Welcome, Richie.
Thanks
for being here. We appreciate it. So
Great.
we saw you on national television as
you
well
sure did, didn't
a few
you?
weeks ago. We sure
Proud
did.
dad.
Yeah.
And when you started tearing up, I started tearing up. It was a whole roller coaster of emotions.
I think everyone was tearing up.
Yeah.
He made the whole country cry.
Yes. And it was 22 seconds for John to turn around and choose you. At which I'm
You know
so
I
Taylor
didn't know
Swift
that.
is going to be after her for the 22 number because 22 seconds.
You
that's
can't
enough.
call dibs
She's
on
going to right exactly. She's
Don't sue me, girl.
what I thought was so interesting was that he said that you were an exceptional vocal artist and not just a singer. And I'm so interested in this as a musician, and from your perspective, what is this differentiation between these two terms, and what does that mean to you, Dad?
Oh, that's a great. That to me is the best
Compliment.
compliment.
Yeah,
you
it
can
was
have,
really
because
insane.
there's many millions of great vocalists out there in the world.
Yeah.
Great vocalists. And on the show too. And, and they all deserve to be there. And, but what I've always told her is that someone that is a recording artist, people use that term like artists, like really, like they throw that around. And a recording artist is somebody that, in my opinion, that can navigate through a career change convincingly. Like we say, like, well, let's just use, like, say David Bowie, for instance. His chameleon-like musical journey throughout his amazing career. But he was always, right out of the gate, he was changing up. Anybody, the Bruce Springsteens of the world. Miley Cyrus, she's done everything from, like, hip hop and rap to a country record to the Wrecking Ball kind of era to
classic Hearts Rock
to the big one anyway. I can't think of it, it's escaping. But Party in USA. So that kind of thing. So, but you see what I'm talking about is how that's a recording artist where they can convincingly, you're with them. You're along for the ride with their journey from record to record.
I love that.
You're on board. You're in
and their evolution. You're on board
in it.
with.
You're in their life. You care about their life, and that's what I feel is, and that's what that statement says to me. That there's a lot. There's just millions of amazing voices out there, and it's but what. How you choose to kind of use that, you know what I mean? And it doesn't mean you can be just a vocalist. It doesn't mean that you have to be a songwriter or that kind of thing. Although I'm always, to be a complete artist, I think, at least dig into it a little bit and discover your abilities because you don't know unless you try, and to apply oneself.
Yes. Yes.
You surprise yourself. So along with her journey, become a songwriter and stuff. And again, it just kind of happened. Her process happened through osmosis. Just kind of it's
being
like
around
anything.
The creativity
and just seeing how it goes. It's. I've said to her, I can help you. But you've got to do it.
Yes.
I can't do it for you. It has to come from here.
I so appreciate you saying that because I think, like we were talking about earlier, you see the final product when someone is auditioning for The Voice or when they're getting their Grammy, or you see the final product. What you don't see is all of the work that led up to it, all of the iterations of themselves, all of the no's, all of the rejection.
Yeah, because there's way more no's than yeses.
Absolutely. How do you navigate the no's and not let them stop you?
Well, I think that even if it wasn't necessarily on purpose, I think he was always really great in having me understand even before I sort of started this, where he was like, if this is not something that you can handle, then like you might not want to do this, because he would always say that you
I said it's not for the faint of heart.
No.
And he's not saying that, and you're not saying this from like, oh, I've heard or I've experienced or I've seen this from Disney stars.
No.
Just, you lived it your whole entire life.
And I just said, if you got to have the stomach for it, you got to be able to take the punches, you know what I mean? Because they're inevitable, and the no's, like you say, the no's, and there's a lot of them, man.
Yeah, they're gonna
outweigh the answers. You didn't want me to like go into music and then have someone be like, I hate this, in like a YouTube comment section, and me be like,
and have that break your heart and ruin your self-esteem.
Like, exactly. I think that's what he was really worried about, especially since I was so young. It's like I was like 13.
You're very vulnerable.
And it's like the internet.
To create your music, to create authentically, is like sharing vulnerably who you are. And so it exposes you to a lot of criticism and cruelty.
Absolutely.
But that's the only way that we get great art, is if you're brave enough to be vulnerable like that.
And thankfully, I will say that I think I know she has that medal, since she was a kid. It's not something I never said you got to be this or you got to like, you know, have a tough skin around that. I just said if you don't have the stomach for something like this, you might want to think about doing something else.
And he's not saying that in like a sassy way. No, he was really being like genuine for concern of like
well,
mental
I see the
well-being.
support in it because essentially what you're saying is, to flip it another way, there's so many things that you can be good at in this life.
Yeah,
you're so capable of so many things. If this does not bring you joy, this doesn't have to be the avenue that you go down, but you are always going to be a musician. You're always going to be a storyteller. You're always going to be a creative, right? So that's really empowering, Dad. I like that.
Good that you kind of said that because about when I say applying oneself, I feel that personally for me, I've reinvented myself so many times.
Oh, yes.
In my musical life, in my musical journey, and again, it's applying oneself where you think you may not know anything about what you're trying to do at the start, but you know, you just kind of go, well, I'll figure it out. If I'm not good at this, then I'll know it. You know, I'll figure it out, and I'll know if I'm not good at it. Right. And but that's the same with her. I felt imparting that with regard to songwriting and stuff. It's like. You know, she's heard me say this so many times, like my favorite quote for creatives, and I've turned so many people onto it, it's Picasso, and it hangs up in the back bedroom. It says, you know, inspiration exists, but it must first find you working. So you have to walk over to you got to pick up the paints. You've got to do your part. It's not going to, you know, it's just not going to come to you. God helps those who help themselves kind of thing. You know, you got to walk over to the easel, man, and pick up the paints. Yes, the inspiration is there, and you may not know. You know, I always have told her so many times that there's always water in the faucet. You've got to walk over and turn it on.
Oh.
You know, you've got
dropping bars right now.
Yes.
Really? Yes.
One after another.
But you just have to. I mean, you've got to do your part. Again, you know, it's always there. There's always this stuff that's ready to be downloaded.
Luck. So many people think that it's just
you got to put the work
luck,
in,
and they see the final product.
But it does come to you. But it does come to you, like
if you're
like
working.
You got to walk over to the easel. You got to pick up the paints. It's not going to paint itself.
Yes.
Yes, it's all inside of you. It's inside of you, and I always think it's like this divine sort of kind of comes to you, and especially once it starts going, it's like whoa, and then it just, you can't shut it down, you know, kind of like, and I'm sure she realizes it too when she's writing and stuff. And so you know, but that, so anyway, getting back to that, what John, getting back
Dad liked that question.
So
circling back.
Getting back to the John Legend comment, that's about, you know, to me that kind of in one sentence embodied kind of what I've told her for a long time, and you know, you're constantly discovering new things, and you know, becoming a vocal artist, you know, as opposed to just a singer, because you know, singers are, you know, great singers, you know, and but you know, you got to keep growing. You know, you got to keep doing it.
Challenging yourself.
Got to keep challenging.
You're your only competition.
Look how you were from now to 15, from 9 years ago, right?
You got to keep. You got to challenge yourself and reinvent. I was like, just with my life, you know, I felt like I've reinvented myself so many times.
Sure.
So many times.
Retweet.
You know, and so
that's my input for this question. Retweet.
So you know,
retweet all of
he
that.
said
Copy,
all of it.
Paste.
Yeah,
agree.
Right. So you were saying, Richie, about how, you know, the words from John as a musician yourself really resonated with you because you really took that in.
I did.
I want to know, Olivia, no disrespect to John at all, but I want to know, current judges aside, you can't choose any of the current judges. If you could pick 4 judges, past and present, to be judges, who would be your dream panel?
Dude. Okay, well, Miley Cyrus has to be
Miley.
there. I'm like
No
the biggest
doubt
Miley
about it.
ever.
Yeah.
I love her.
She's been a mentor on there before, I think.
She's been a judge.
She's been a judge.
She was a
Coach.
judge. Okay, all right.
Yes.
Okay. So Miley's one.
I feel like I have to go with Niall.
Okay.
Love that guy.
There was like a hesitancy there, but also a cheekiness. I
just love him. Like I feel like we would get along great.
Yes.
He seems so nice, and I don't know. And then
One
maybe,
Direction.
yeah, we love One Direction.
Okay,
He's
there you
Harry
go.
Styles adjacent. Maybe
Yes.
that's it.
So it's
Like, let's be so real.
Jason, Niall, we love you as your own man.
No, absolutely. I was watching season 24 and I was eating it up.
Yes.
I'll leave it. I'm digging myself in a hole. And then maybe I feel like Kelly Clarkson is like
you just missed her.
I
But
know.
I know.
But
Maybe
she's so
she'll come back, who
iconic.
knows? Yes.
And like I feel like when you think of The Voice, one of the
Yeah.
first people that comes to your head is Kelly Clarkson. She's,
Absolutely,
like,
yes.
Yeah.
And because
one of
she's
the foundational
one,
people.
right? She's the one judge in the history of the show, and who's been through something similar to this.
Yes.
So I
Right.
feel like
She
she's
gets
the
it.
one person. She's been like, "Hey, I've been through this before. I know
Yeah.
what it's like to have
That's
to
really
go
special.
through this." You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I
Absolutely.
appreciate that from her. So, judges aside, who is there's mentors on the show for those who
Yeah.
aren't familiar with it. Mentors come in during the season and
Yes.
mentor. So who would be your dream mentor?
One Direction.
all of them.
All of them.
Okay, wait, let me like actually think.
Again, past or present, doesn't have to be a popular artist right now, but
I mean, like, I feel like I have to say like Harry Styles.
Do it.
all right.
Harry Styles will really
I'm
come
putting
for you
this
guys.
on the internet.
Yes, I love this.
Love
Perfect.
This is
him.
forever.
Awesome. So we wanted to ask you that question. Obviously, that wasn't prepared, so we wanted to ask you for that. So
I had to say.
I love your
Well,
answers.
speaking
it's
of
great.
Harry Styles, I think
Good
that
segue.
style, I think that
was
style and fashion, this is like how we outwardly portray ourselves to the world, how we show the world who we are and how we want to be perceived. And as a fellow queen with a dope crown of iconic hair, I would love for you to tell us a little about your haircut, about your look, and what it unlocked for you as part of your personal and artistic style and brand.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I feel like I always wanted like just like a cool, like sort of like shagalicious haircut. But then I like never really had like, I don't know. I was like, when am I gonna do that? Like, what if it sucks? And that'll be weird. So then COVID happened and I was on online school. So I was like, I think now is the time to do this because then if it sucks, I'll turn off my camera and I'll let it grow out. And like no one has to see
How
that.
would they know?
How would they know?
Brilliant.
They're not. And then turns out I kind of dug it. So then I've sort of had like every iteration of like the shaggy like mullet haircut. So, once I got like a cool haircut, I was like, I think I kind of have to like step it up a little bit maybe and like, match the energy.
Yes.
So like I got super into like thrifting and like finding cool vintage pieces and just like really paying attention to my like fashion inspirations that I always thought were cool, and I would think in my mind I want to dress like that, but like never did. And I was like, I'm just gonna send it and just like do it. Like who cares? And so I just started digging into it more, and here we are.
It really is like the bravery of artists for me, because so many people be like, oh, I think I would look cool in that, but I wonder what other people think. I wonder, once you decide who you are, and like that's what this whole head to toe, I see it, I hear it in your voice, the way that it's such a unique, particular point of view and style that is reflected visually and sonically in who you are as an artist. It's really cool.
Yeah, I feel like it feels good to be like your most genuine form, and it's like, if the entire vibe changes in like a couple of years, then slay, I'll do that too.
Yeah, I'll adapt because I'm an
I will
artist. That's what we
adapt,
do.
Right?
Reinvention.
Reinvention,
Exactly.
Dad. Reinvention.
We are circling back. We are.
I'm really excited to see what you do creatively with the harmonies that you create and how you work with another artist. I want
can't
to
wait.
take us out
Yes.
on this great quote from Shay Mooney, who said of you, "We need more people like you in the world that move people with their voice." And I just want you to like just sit in that and
Soak
sit in
that
that
up.
truth. We need more people like you in the world that move people with their voice. And I just want you to know that we are so honored to have you representing us and the
Thank
First
you
State on
so
The Voice and beyond. And we're so excited to see you and cheer you on and support you in this journey.
Thank
Congratulations.
you so much.
Thank you.
So we're not going to let you go without you promising us on television that you will come back and see us soon.
Yeah.
Will you? Okay,
I'll come
awesome.
back.
Perfect. I love
No
it. I
worries.
love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Olivia
Thank you.
and Richie. Thank you so much. It's been a real
much.
pleasure
Yeah,
to get to meet you
Total
and to tell your
pleasure.
story.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you.
So our thanks to Olivia Rubini and her dad, Richie, for joining us on this week's edition of CultureScope. You can check out Olivia's rest of her journey on The Voice Mondays and Tuesdays on NBC. Check your local listings for exact times, and we will see you next week.